Hi everyone. In last class we have discussed about the lenses and combination of lenses, and when the lens is silvered, so we have found out the equivalent focal length of all these cases. So one more important thing is prism. So we'll discuss a little more about the prism. So uh, the basic structure of prism is it is having a base, and this is what we call it as the base, and this is what refracting surface. So this is the refracting surface, and another side this is also going to be refracting surface. This line which is separating two refracting surface, we call it as a refracting edge. Okay. So similarly, there is an angle between two refracting surface, that is going to be called it as a refracting angle or angle of prism. Angle of prism, or it is also called as apex angle. Okay. Apex angle of the prism. Okay. So usually in the theoretical discussion, we are not going to consider the whole prism. I will take a thin section of this prism. Okay. So that is what we call it as a principal section. Okay. So if I take a thin section of this one, that is what we call it as principal section. Okay. Principal section of prism. Okay. So now I will take the principal section. So if a ray of light incident on this principal section having the say angle of the prism as A, and a ray of light incident here, if you look at the normal, the ray is traveling from rarer to denser, so instead of going in this way, it will bend towards the normal. Okay. So again, if you look at the normal here, ray is traveling from denser to rarer, so it will bend away from the normal. Okay. So this is what angle of incident, and this is what angle of emergence. So again, here is the deviation. Okay. Ray is little deviate from the its actual path. Okay. So if this is the I, this is what angle of refraction, I will call it as R1. Similarly here, angle of refraction, I will call it as R2. So if we look at the deviation, so this is what the initial path, the final emerging ray is going in this direction. So total deviation is from here to here, and that is in clockwise direction. So if you want to calculate this deviation, so how we can do that one? So total deviation delta is equals to deviation at first surface, you can take it as delta 1 plus deviation at second surface delta 2. Why I am taking plus? Because both the deviations are in clockwise direction. If suppose one is in clockwise direction, other in anti-clockwise, then you can take a negative sign over here. So delta 1 d1, what you can write the deviation d1? Here I is greater than r1 because R1 is in denser medium, I is in rarer medium. So you can write it as I minus R1. Okay. So similarly, delta to here. Here ray is traveling from denser to rarer. That means angle of emergence is greater than your angle of incident, that is R2. So delta 2 will become, you can write it as E minus R2. So totally what you can write? Totally delta you can write it as delta 1 plus delta 2. What is delta 1? I minus R1. So I minus R1 plus, what is your delta 2? E minus R2. So you can write it as E minus R2. So total delta is I plus E minus R1 plus R2. Okay, in your theoretical derivation you have observed that this A is equals to R1 plus R2. Okay, so R1 plus R2 is equals to A. That derivation you have seen that one. So I can write it as directly delta equals to I plus E minus A. So this is what the deviation. Okay. So if you want to know how the deviation depends on the angle of incidence, apply Snell's law here. This is the air medium, I will take it as refractive index 1. This is the prism, I will take it as refractive index n. So if you apply that one, I can write 1 sin I equals to n sin R1. So what you can get here is, you can get R1 as, R1 you can write it as sine inverse of sin I divided by n. Okay. Then you want R2. How you can write R2? R2 you can write it as R2 equals to, or you can apply the Snell's law at second surface. So if you apply that way, it will become n sine R2 equals to 1 sine E. Okay. Actually, we want to calculate E. For that, we want R2. What you can write R2? R2 you can write it as A minus R1. From here, we can write it as A minus R1. So R2 equals to A minus, what is R1? R1 is sine inverse of sine I divided by N. Okay. So now you can apply over here. What you can write? Sine of, what is R2? R2 is A minus sine inverse of sine I divided by N equals to 1 sine E. That is, you can write it as sine E. What do you want? You want angle of emergence. So angle of emergence will become the sine inverse of sine of A minus sine inverse of sine I divided by N. Okay. So such a complicated angle of emergence you got. So if you apply this here, so I though you know, you want to replace the E because you want to know how delta depends on I. So delta is equals to I plus, so what you can write is sine inverse of sine of A minus sine inverse of sine I divided by N. So minus A is there. Okay. So this is how the delta deviation depends on the angle of incident. So how you can say here delta is directly proportional to I or inversely, we don't know. So only way to know how the delta depends on I from the equation are not possible, very complicated equation. So if you draw the graph, that too theoretical graph is not possible. When you draw the graph practically, you can see something. But for our surprise, when we draw the graph practically, graph was not according to our expectation. When the graph delta versus R, so graph was somehow like this. Okay. So this is entirely different from what we expected. Okay. So here, this is what delta. So at the beginning, delta was decreasing as I increases. After certain value, it start increasing. Okay. So this is what the minimum deviation. Okay. Here delta is minimum. Okay. But one more very important thing is here is, so if you take some delta deviation here, so for a single value of delta, you are going to get two angle of incidences, I1 and I2. Why it is so? Because if you have the prism, so a ray of light go from here, this is what I, so after that it will comes on this side, so this is what going to be angle of emergence E. Now if you exchange I and E, what is delta here? Delta is I plus E minus A. So instead of coming from this side with the same angle, if you change the direction, with the same angle, this is going to be I, this is going to be E. So again your delta is what? Delta is going to be I plus E minus A only. Okay. For two angle of incidences, the delta remains same. That is what the graph was suggesting. Okay. For a single deviation, we are getting two angle of incidences. Okay. So with this one, if you look at from the graph, you understand that for every deviation there are two angle of incidences. For a particular deviation, which we call it as minimum deviation. At minimum deviation, what will happen? This I1 is what I, so I2 is what E. At this point, I will become what equals to E. So at minimum deviation, I equals to E. If I equals to E, similarly the interior angles R1 is also equals to what? R2. So you can also write it as R1 equals to R2 equals to R. Okay. So if R1 equals to R2 equals to R, so what you can write? R1 plus R2 equals to A. So 2R equals to A. So R equals to what? R equals to A by 2. So if you substitute I equals to E in this equation delta, so what you can write? delta equals to I plus I minus A. So I equals to delta plus A divided by 2. So if you want to calculate the refractive index of prism, so you can write n equals to sin I divided by sin R equals to, what is sin I? Sin I is sin of delta plus A by 2 divided by sin of A by 2. Okay. So this is what the refractive index of the prism we can calculate if we know the deviation and angle of the prism. So here very important thing is about the graph. If we concentrate little more on the graph, it is very much useful in finding the angle of incident or angle of emergence. This is what the graph we got. Okay. So suppose this is the minimum deviation angle. Okay. At this point I equals to E. Okay. So this is what going to be delta. So for some value of delta, this is what I2 and this is what I1. This is what I1 and this is what I2. Or you can call it this is I and this is E. And here delta is there. Okay. So this is what minimum deviation angle. Minimum deviation angle. So maximum deviation somewhere here it will come. Okay. So this is what delta maximum. So usually delta maximum occurs at I equals to what? I equals to pi by 2. So for delta maximum I equals to or E equals to pi by 2, and for delta minimum I equals to E. Okay. So if you clearly watch this graph, see this distance from minimum deviation angle to I1. This distance you can take it as x1 and this distance you can take it as x2. If you observe it clearly, these two distances are not equal, they are different. So from the graph you can easily say x2 is always greater than x1. x2 is greater than x1. Okay. So this point will help us to calculate the angle of emergence without doing any wasting much time. If you know about the graph. Suppose a question is something like this. What will be the question? For a prism, delta minimum is at I equals to say 40 degree. Okay. Find angle E for say I equals to 32 degree. Okay. So what is the question? For a prism, delta minimum is at I equals to 40. Okay. If I plot the graph here again. So this is what your graph. Okay. So for I equals to 40, delta is minimum. Okay. What they are asking? They are asking for I equals to 32. What is the angle E they are asking? Here the angle E equals to I. For I equals to 32. 32 say it will come somewhere here. Okay. So delta minimum. Delta, we don't know what delta is. For I equals to 32 degree. So what will be the angle of emergence? Means they are asking this angle. They are asking this angle. Okay. So they will give the options. So option A you can take it as 40, and option B you can take it as 42. Option C you can take it as 48. Option D you can take it as somehow 44, like that. So how we can calculate this one? Okay. Don't need to go with all the formula and everything. If you know about this x2 greater than x1, you can easily calculate. Okay. So this is what 32 degree. For 32 angle of incidence, they are asking angle of emergence. If you see this difference, what is the difference? Difference is 8. Okay. So from here to here, difference also you have to calculate. Okay. If this is 8, if x1 is 8, x2 should be greater than 8. Yes or no? Because x2 is greater than x1. x2 should be greater than 8. That means your E should be greater than what? This 40, till here it is 40, and on this side 8. So it should be greater than 48. It should be greater than 48. Okay. So if this is the your answer, so you have to search for the answers which is greater than 48, that is 49 or 50 or whatever. Okay. So in the option, if suppose if I give one more option, this I take it as 49. So your answer is going to be 49. Instead of that, if there is one more answer, say something E equals to say 50 degrees. So 50 degrees is going to be answer if 49 is not. Okay. So this is what both will not give, anyone will give. So we have to search for the that value which is greater than 48 in our given options. Okay. So in the prism, when a ray of light incident, suppose when it comes here, suppose this R2 is greater than critical angle. Suppose this R2 is greater than critical angle. There is a chance of ray undergoing total internal reflection. But what I want is, can we put a condition that ray should not come outside by changing not angle of incident, by changing the angle of the prism. Okay, that means for any angle of incident, ray should not come outside. So that we can adjust with by adjusting the angle of prism. So that what I can say, condition for ray always undergo TIR or total internal reflection, or ray should not come out. Ray undergo TIR. Okay, it is always, we can say it is always, irrespective of angle of incident. So what will be the condition? Suppose critical angle for prism is C. So if R2 is equals to C, so angle of emergence will become what? Angle of emergence will become 90 degree. Okay. If R2 is greater than C, then what will happen? Ray will undergo TIR. Okay. If R2 is greater than C, ray will undergo TIR. If R2 is greater than the C, so then also it will go. So the minimum value of R2, if you want, the ray should go always in total internal reflection. The minimum value of R2 should be what? Greater than C. The minimum value of R2 should be greater than, means can I write A equals to R1 plus R2. So R2, can I write A minus R1? If R2 minimum is greater than C, means A minus R1 minimum also greater than C. So A minus R1 minimum should be greater than C. Okay, or A minus R1 bracket minimum greater than C. So A minus R1 will become a minimum if and only if R1 is maximum. If R1 is maximum, this is possible. A minus R1 will become minimum if and only if R1 is maximum. Okay, that means the maximum value of R1, the R1 maximum should be greater than C. R1 maximum should be greater than C. So if this is the case, what is the maximum value of R1? What is the maximum value of R1? The minimum, what is the maximum value of I? Maximum value of I is 90 degree. If here it is 90 degree, I equals to 90. So inside this R is what? R is equals to C. So the maximum value of R1 is what? Maximum value of R1 is, R1 maximum is equals to what? C. That means if you substitute here, A minus R1 greater than C, A minus R1 minimum greater than C. So A minus R1 maximum is what? R1 maximum is C is greater than C. So A is always greater than C. If this condition satisfies, ray will never come outside. So it will always undergo the total internal reflection. We should check for every question if it is on the total internal reflection. So if you change the angle of prism, or if you take care that angle of prism is greater than 2C, or that means 2 times the critical angle of the material used for the prism, so ray will always undergo total internal reflection. Or suppose if, for example, if n equals to root 2, so what is the minimum angle of incidence? The minimum angle of incidence so that ray undergo TIR. So how we can check? If n is root 2 means C is what? Sine inverse of 1 by root 2, that is 45 degree. So your angle of prism, it is not angle of incident, the minimum angle of prism. Okay. So what is the angle of prism? Angle of prism should be greater than 2c. So A should be greater than. So A should be greater than what? 45 to. So 90 degree. Okay. So ray will undergo the total integral reflection if angle of the prism is 91 degree. The minimum value they are asking, the minimum angle of prism, so that they undergo total integral reflection, that is what? 91 degree. Okay. So for 90 to 93 it will undergo total integral reflection, but they are asking the minimum value. Okay. So this is what ray always undergo TIR. So I can specifically mention always undergo TIR. Okay. Similarly, I can derive the condition. I can derive the condition for ray always comes out of prism. So irrespective of what, irrespective of angle of the angle of incident. Okay. So suppose this is your prism. So this will come here. Okay. Ray should come outside. Okay. So ray should come outside. This is what R1 and this is what R2. Ray will come outside if and only if R1 is not R1, R2 is less than C. Ray will come outside if and only if R2 is less than C. Means R2 should not cross the critical limit. So in particular, because we want the condition always, so the maximum value of R2 should be what? Less than C. Maximum value of R2 should be less than C. So R2 I can write it as A minus R1. So A minus R1 should be greater than what? Sorry, less than C. Okay. So A minus R1 is maximum. A minus R1 is maximum means what? R1 should be minimum. R1 should be minimum. Okay. So I can write it as A minus R1 minimum should be less than C. What is the minimum value of R1? What is the minimum value of R? What is the minimum value of R? Minimum value of R is 0. If I is 0, R1 is also 0. So minimum value of R1, the minimum value of R1 is what? Equals to 0. That means A should be less than C. So this is what the condition when ray will always undergo what? It will always comes outside, not going the total integral reflection, irrespective of angle of incident. For any angle of incident, if you maintain angle of prism A less than C, then you can get the ray always coming out of the prism. Okay. So these are the what conditions for total integral reflection, and ray always comes outside. So what we got condition if A is greater than 2C. So ray always undergo what? Total integral reflection, always. If A is less than C, so ray will always comes out. Always I am saying comes out. Okay. So then question may arise, what will happen if it is between, if A is between C and 2C. Okay. If A is between 2C, then what will happen? Then the whether ray is going under total integral reflection or is coming out depends on not on angle of prism, it depends on angle of incident R. Okay. So in that case, what will happen if this is the say angle of incident? I will take it as I0. For angle of incident I0, what will happen? Ray is just grazes. Okay. So here what this is what R2 is going to be C. Okay. This is what R1. R2 is going to be C. Okay. Now, if angle of for I0 it is grazing angle. For I0 it is grazing angle. So emerging angle is equals to grazing angle. So if I0 is, or angle of incident if I is between say 0 to I0. If I is between 0 to I0, what will happen? If I increases from 0 to I0, if I increases from 0 to I0, what will happen? R1 will also increase. R1 will also increase. If R1 increases, what will happen to R2? R2 will decrease. Okay. So that means here I is not increasing; it is decreasing from I0 to 0. Okay. So if I decreases, R1 will also decrease. R2 will increase. R2 is increasing means R2 is going beyond the what? Beyond the critical angle. So what will happen? Ray will undergo total internal reflection. Instead of that one, if I is between I0 to pi by 2, if I is between I0 to pi by 2, now I is increasing from I0. If I is increasing from I0, R1 will also what increases. If R1 is increasing, R2 is decreasing. That means R2 is decreasing means your R2 is what? Coming less than critical angle. So R2 is going less than critical angle. So that means if this angle will become less than critical angle, so obviously ray will come outside. So ray undergo or ray will come outside. So light ray comes outside. That means if the angle of prism A is between C and 2C, whether ray is going under total reflection or it is coming outside depends on what angle of incident. Okay. So this is how when the angle is between C and 2C. So now I will talk about the thin prism. Most of the time we will take the thin prism only. For this, the angle of prism A is what? A is very less. It is less than or equals to what? 10 degree you can say. So if we talk about the thin prism, so this is what angle of incident I, this is R1 and this is what R2, this is what angle of emergence E. Okay. So here what will happen? If A is small means E and I is also small. So apply Snell's law here. 1 sin I is equals to N sin R1. So since angles are small, so you can write it as I equals to N R1. Okay. Similarly, you can apply here. So what you can write? So N sin R2 is equals to 1 sin E. Okay. So again, since angles are small, you can write it as N R2 equals to E. So what is your deviation? Deviation is I plus E minus A. So delta F, what is I? I is N R1 plus R E is N R2 minus A. So delta equals to, if you take N outside, this will remains R1 plus R2 minus A. So delta equals to N A minus A. So delta equals to N minus 1 into A. So this is what the deviation for thin prism. Delta equals to N minus 1 A. Delta equals to N minus 1 A is the deviation for thin prism. That means delta is depending on what? A. So if angle of prism increases, deviation will increase. If angle of prism decreases, deviation decreases. Okay. So A will decrease. Okay. So similarly, delta is also depends directly proportional to N. If N increases, delta increases. If it is directly proportional to N, delta is obviously inversely proportional to lambda. As lambda increases, delta decreases. Okay. So this is the reason why white light pass through the prism will split into different colors. So if lambda is maximum, deviation is minimum. So that is why for red light, lambda is what? Lambda is maximum. So deviation is minimum. For violet light, so lambda is minimum. So delta is what? Maximum. Okay. So that is what when the white light pass through prism. So deviation for red is what? Minimum. So first it will deviate here, then violet will deviate. So similarly, here red will come, here violet will come. So this is what delta for red light, and this is delta for violet light. Okay. So this is the reason. What is the reason? Delta is different for different colors. different wavelengths or colors. Okay, so that is why when the white light passes through prism, it will split into a different colors. It is simply a deviation of different wavelengths for different extents. That is what we call it as the dispersion. Okay, that is what we call it as dispersion. In between, other colors will also come. This I can take it as yellow color. So this is what the deviation for yellow light. Okay, so what you can write the deviation? So deviation for red is refractive index for red -1 into angle of prism. So deviation for violet is refractive index for violet -1 into angle of prism. Deviation for yellow is refractive index for yellow -1 into angle of the prism. Okay, so this is how the deviation depends on the wavelength or how it changes with the colors. So regarding dispersion, there are two important terms. One is called as angular dispersion. So angular dispersion. What is angular dispersion? Angular dispersion is nothing but difference between deviations of any pair of colors. Okay, any pair of colors, or you can call it as wavelengths. Okay, so if this is the case, how we can get the formula for this one? Suppose you have the prism, a ray of light comes here. So this is what red and this is what violet. Okay, so these are the what deviation. This is what deviation for red. This is what deviation for violet. Okay, so what they are asking, difference between the deviations of any pair of colors. Now I will take pair of colors red and violet. Okay, so if I take a red and violet, so what is the deviation for red? Deviation for red is, so refractive index for red -1 into angle of prism. Deviation for violet is refractive index of violet -1 into angle of prism. What is the definition of angular dispersion? Angular dispersion, theta equals to, this will be denoted by theta. So theta equals to delta R minus delta V, or delta V minus delta R. Difference between any pair of colors. Okay, so difference between deviations of pair of colors. So substitute this one. So NV minus 1 into A minus of NR minus 1 into A. Okay, so plus A minus A will get cancelled. What remains is NV minus NR into A. So this is what the formula for angular dispersion. So angular dispersion theta equals to refractive index for violet minus refractive index for red into angle of the prism. Okay, so similarly there is one more term called as dispersive power. Dispersive power, that will denote it by omega. So dispersive power omega is defined as ratio of the angular dispersion to mean deviation. Angular dispersion to mean deviation. So omega equals, what is angular dispersion? Difference between deviation of violet and red divided by mean of these two. Delta of violet plus delta of R divided by 2. This is what the mean. This is the formula for dispersive power. Okay, but what you can write for angular dispersion theta? You can write it for, so you can write NV minus NR into A. Okay, so for mean deviation, so they take always it as a yellow color. Yellow color is going to be mean of red and violet. So this is what delta for yellow. So you can write it as delta for yellow. You can write it as n of yellow minus 1 into A. So A will get cancelled. So dispersive power equals to refractive index of violet minus refractive index of red divided by refractive index of yellow minus 1. Remember, the dispersion power of any prism does not depend on the angle of the prism. It depends on the refractive index and wavelength of the light which you are incident from the prism. Okay, so we will see the conditions for dispersion without deviation and deviation without dispersion. So for that we should know the formula, that is angular dispersion theta equals to, so refractive index for violet minus refractive index of red into A. So dispersive power omega you can write it as, so what you can write, refractive index of violet minus refractive index of red divided by refractive index of yellow minus 1. Okay. So now if you see dispersion without deviation, okay. So what will happen in this case? Suppose you have the prism here, so along with this there is one more prism which will get inverted to this one. So what will happen here, when a white light incident, you will get, what is this, dispersion without deviation, means colors will split but there is no deviation. So what will happen, red will come here, violet will come here. Okay, so again what will happen, red will go here, violet will go here. So this is what the incident angle. So here what will happen, they will come here. So okay, so if you see the angle between the incident ray or the initial path and the path after emergence, there is no deviation. So here deviation is going to be 0, but you can get two colors. Here white light was there, here you get splitted lights, red and violet. Okay, so if this is the case, so delta is 0, that's why it is called as dispersion without deviation. You can see the colors but deviation is not there. So dispersion without deviation, so without deviation is 0, so dispersion is not equals to 0. Okay, so how we can derive the condition for this one? Dispersion 0 means one time dispersion deviation happens here, so that is what delta 1 plus the delta 2 equals to 0. Okay, but here deviation is in clockwise direction, here deviation is in anti-clockwise direction. So I can write as d1 minus delta 1 minus delta 2 equals to 0, or delta 1 equals to delta 2. What is the delta 1? Delta 1 is refractive index of, I will take it as yellow, minus 1 into A equals to, this you can take it as angle of prism A, this you can take it as angle of prism A dash. So for this one, refractive index for yellow, that is N dash, I will take minus 1 into A dash. This is what the condition for dispersion without deviation. Suppose if you go little beyond this one, multiply and divide by the dispersive power, that is NV minus, not dispersive power, NV minus NR. So what I will do, NV minus NR, multiply and divide. So NY minus 1 is there, so I will divide it by NY minus, sorry, NV minus NR, NP minus NR equals to, so what is there, again NV dash minus NR dash, so NY dash minus 1 divided by NV dash minus NR dash into A dash. Okay, so if you look at this one, NV minus NR, you take this to denominator, so what will happen, so I will write only NV minus NR into A whole divided by NV minus NR divided by NLO minus 1 equals to NV dash minus NR dash into A dash divided by, so NLO dash minus 1, sorry, NV dash minus NR dash whole divided by NY dash minus 1. Okay, so what is this one? NV minus NR into A. NV minus NR into A is nothing but theta. So theta divided by, what is this one? NV minus NR divided by NY minus 1. That is what omega. So theta by omega equals to theta dash by omega dash. This is what the condition for dispersion without deviation. Okay. Then what is the dispersion? Dispersion you can calculate easily. That is theta equals to, you can just write the dispersion, that is NV. So NV minus NR into A plus NV dash minus NR dash into A. Okay, so that is what dispersion you can calculate, but most of the time we want the condition. Okay, so similarly we have to derive one more condition, that is deviation without without dispersion. Without dispersion. Deviation is there, but dispersion is not there. In that case, what will happen? In that case, condition is little different. This is one prism, say angular prism A, this is angular prism A dash. So white light will come here. So ray of light going in this direction. So this is white light. Here dispersion will occur, red and violet. So again here red and violet will come, red and violet. So when it come outside, again it is white light only. So no dispersion. So theta is 0, but deviation is there. Some deviation is there. This is not equal to 0. So delta is not equal to 0. Okay. So here how we can derive the condition. Theta is equal to 0 means, so what you can write it as a total dispersion. Total dispersion both are in clockwise. So what you can write, theta plus theta dash equals to 0. Okay. So what is theta? Theta is NV minus NR divided by, so into A plus NV minus NR dash into A dash equals to 0. Okay, this is what the condition. If you want in terms of theta and omega, so what you have to do? You have to multiply and divide it by Ny minus 1. So NV minus NR divided by Ny minus 1 multiplied by Ny minus 1 into A plus, so NV dash minus NR dash. So here you will divide by Ny dash minus 1 multiplied by Ny dash minus 1 into A dash equals to 0. So what is this one? This is nothing but omega. So this is nothing but your omega. So omega, and this is nothing but your theta. So not theta, it is going to be your delta. Ny minus 1 into A. Okay. So this is not going to be delta. So delta 1, or write delta plus omega dash delta dash equals to 0. Okay.